and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
Live streaming has become one of the best ways to connect the funeral of a loved one with friends and family, both local and international. NBC Television will live stream your funerals on television and Facebook at a reasonable rate. With our state-of-the-art equipment, you can be assured that the quality of your funeral will be to your satisfaction. Call our office now and book your obituary and streaming with us. 758-453-7458.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay By Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
In once again at the start, or I should say at the end of a week. You know, when the holidays come in between, it always makes the next day look like it's the start of a week or something like that. No, today is actually Friday. It's Friday the 31st day of the month of May 2024. So it's not the start of any week. It is the end of a week and the end of a month. This is our final program for the week and for the month of May 2024. I think we've had a good one. Well, I hope you had a wonderful holiday yesterday, Corpus Christi holiday. Maybe you can tell me about it, what it is that you chose to do, what it is that you got through with, and what's your takeaway from it. You know, hope you're okay, everyone, and that your day so far on this Friday, the 31st, the final day of the month, is going good so far. Mine is. It looks a little cooler. Jaquan is perspiring, but that's because he's had a very vigorous walk to get to the station. But today is one of the better days, isn't it? It's actually a relatively cool day. It's sunny, it's bright for sure, but it isn't as hot as other days can be. And for that, I, in particular, am always very grateful. I tell you, the heat not going with me, Last night in my sleep, I felt like, even in my sleep, like I can't sleep, like my head is hurting me. I just had to get up, do my usual little bathroom thing and drink some good amount of water, which of course always makes you have to wake up again. And the headache by itself was gone by the time the morning came, I kind of was sparing in my eating, didn't eat much yesterday, so I don't know whether there was the hunger factor. Sometimes when you don't eat, you feel the hunger, you feel the belly growing, and sometimes you just seem to have a tolerance for it, not eating, fasting a little bit. And I guess yesterday was one of those days that I just didn't feel like eating much. But who knows what it may have done to me and so on. Sometimes it's really when the other indications of hunger and so on come on, that you realize, hey, I haven't really eaten much, for the day. So watch all those things, your water, your hydration and so on, to drink enough water. Don't try to deal with your bathroom urges by not drinking water. Try to make arrangements somehow for you to cope with the bathroom urges, but don't skimp on your water, on your hydration. That can be dangerous. That can affect your organs. That can affect, virtually every organ of your body. And the climate in which we live, it's not something you should take chances with. I think the authorities need to look more at providing more public bathroom facilities in diverse places and so on. We ourselves, whatever options that we can have to deal with it, let us take it and so on. But it's very difficult for the authorities to focus on providing facilities when we seem to have a hatred for the facilities. They put bathroom or laundry facilities. I don't know. I've said that many times. There are just too many of us who seem to hate what's good for us. We just seem to have some kind of, people have told me maybe it's our self-esteem, maybe these things, having them, they remind us of something about ourselves that we're not comfortable with. I cannot relate to it, honestly, as to why I should be living in a community, there is no water, it's a problem. I mean, I remember growing up in Patience, Monrepo area, and for the early part of my life, we had to go to the river. And I think people who grew up with me know what I'm talking about, to go and fetch water from the river. We used to use water directly from the river because there was no pipe-borne water. We had just come off a period where there was a lot of talk about bilharzia. I never knew personally anybody who had it, any case of it. There was a lot of treatment, a lot of warning about bilharzia, and I think that prompted the government of the day to do something to extend pipe-borne water. I remember the first standpipe in my area would have been, I would estimate, a distance of at least 300 meters or maybe 200 away from where the actual home I was raised in. And when that standpipe was put, it was a joy. It was a joy for us from the nearest connection point to take turns carrying those pipes on our shoulders, me, a little boy, and somebody else, one person at one end, you at the other end, carrying those pipes, laying them down, the district plumber telling you where to put them. We were just so happy to have pipe-borne water for the first time. I remember the standpipe when it was being built, a concrete standpipe and so on. Those of us who took turns carrying a little bucket of sand, I wasn't too strong. Those who could carry a little bucket or bag of stones, come and put it down, and the mason and so on would mix it and so on, so that they could erect that standpipe for us. It meant so much for us. It would have been absolutely unheard of, unthinkable in my area for anybody to think to mash up the standpipe. To take a stone, as I understand some people were doing, just take a stone, just for the sheer heck of it. We appreciated those facilities because we knew what it was like to be without it. The same way people used to congregate at the river to wash their clothes and to rinse and to, what they call stone wash it, slamming it on the stone to cho-cho, who was doing the cho-cho on the rocks, who was doing the, whatever, the rinsing in the river at the same time, people catching crayfish. I never knew how my mother had the skill to just push her hand into the water slowly, and just close her hand on a crayfish. Just like that. It was a difficult process of corralling it into a little place with your hands under a stone and so on and doing all that. She had the skill. I'm just saying the fun days at the river. But we understood what a forward march it was to have a standpipe. We appreciated it. I just don't know if we have a laundry, if we have a public toilet. In 2 days, it's unusable. People do all kinds of things. They break it up. And some of the things, it's not coincidental. Somebody has to be deliberately sabotaging it. Who comes and they drop something in it that they're not supposed to drop. More they tell them it's only toilet paper. They will go, you'll see paper bag in it. You'll see some... I just do not know why we have this kind of destructive attitude. If it's somebody we think we're spiting, so we'll mash it up so somebody else can't use it. They can't use it, but neither can we. We can't use it ourselves. Whether we just prefer to go under the bush, whether we just prefer to be... And even in this 21st century, we have people who have that kind of behavior about them. So yes, we might say... the government needs to do this and the government needs to do that and the government needs to put things. But government cannot do what needs to be done for the country by itself. We must have a cooperative population. We must have a population that values itself. We must have a population of people who have some self-respect, of people who have some sense of dignity about themselves, and to say, look, this is too much of a forward march for us, for me to be mashing it up. We just like to mash up things, And I don't know, I've seen people just do it just for the sheer heck of it. And the funny thing is, when they do it, there is never a shortage of an audience, spectators, people around them who laugh. And so they feel that this is something nice, that it is some kind of a feather in their cap. This is some kind of badge of honor to show how manly they are and how strong they are and how, nobody can do them nothing and so on. And this is the level of ignorance and malice and stupidity that continues in our country that is keeping us behind. And when I say stupidity, it's not for lack of knowledge. Don't tell me it's lack of knowledge or lack of education. I don't know if I've told you this before. I had one run-in with a woman who was, janitor is not a word we like to use. It's not, politically correct and so on. But the woman was the attendant, the cleaner at the radio station that I worked at. I don't care what your level of education is if you never went to primary school, if you can't learn to read and write. Don't tell me you don't know what I saw the woman doing one day. That is not right. I used to work in the night at that radio station, staying there, in the newsroom, all by myself, preparing a newspaper, collating everything, getting regionals and internationals, and doing the proofreading of the newspaper myself. There was another guy who was fighting me for the position of editor, but heard this, I'm just giving you all a little history. The guy is fighting me because he believes he should be editor because he's an Antiguan and I'm not, and he's a long-time supporter of the ruling party and whatever, because the newspaper and so on was being published by a company that was established by the now Prime Minister. So, he considers himself a stalwart. Why Shelton and not him? And, editor and so on. Head this with this guy, The guy needs them to hire somebody who is a proofreader, a separate proofreader. And I keep saying, look, I came up through the ranks. I wasn't parachuted in. I came up through learning the ropes in journalism and newspaper and writing and this kind of thing. Don't tell me I do not know how to proofread. Proofread is something, to me, it comes with the territory. It's part of the course that you're supposed to know, read over something to spot errors in punctuation, in spelling, in grammar, in this and to have a broad knowledge of things so that you can fact check things and all of that. The guy fought tooth and nail. When I came in, when they brought me in, he had been away for some treatment, prostate cancer or whatever he had. He came back and behind my back, he went telling people about how the only reason they took me on is because he was sick, but now that he's back, he intends to take over and let me be just a figurehead and so on. So eventually, they took the editorship from me and gave it to him, but he needs a separate proofreader. A little way down the line and so on, the board of directors and so on, they said, what nonsense is that? Mr. Daniel was doing the paper. He's editing, he's proofreading, and he's writing his own pieces, and he does not need any proofreader. So they realize money, that he needs proofreader, he needs assistant proofreader, he needs graphic artist and layout artist and all of that. Well, all I needed was myself and a layout artist and this kind of thing. So they came back and they asked me, would I be willing to take back the editorship of the paper because it is costing them and they need to pay money. Now I've digressed, but I have to tell you all this story about when you find jealous people and resentful people and people who have this kind of thing. One day, they asked the guy, why does he need a separate proofreader? And Shelton Daniel, and I'm maintaining, if it's the Wall Street Journal or something that you editing that have how many, dozens of pages and all of that in different segments and so on, I can understand no one person can edit that. And if you are the editor, and there are different editors, there's business editor, there's sports editor, there's all the kind of thing, and whatever, there's executive editor, production editor, all kind of different editors, because these are vast operations and publications. So they asked the guy, how come Mr. Daniel can edit the paper by himself? And I always maintain a paper 40 pages or less, small paper relatively speaking. I don't need to have a separate proofreader. I can go. So I would spend the whole night putting the paper together and doing the editing and the proofreading. And even before I give it for the final approval for it to go out, I do what I call a final read through. So I go through the paper, look at my front page, look at everything, my subs, my headlines, everything, give it a final read through. So most times I would not finish that paper in terms of putting it to bed until close to 5 in the morning. You spend the whole night. But the reason why I told you, so here's the last bit before I go back to what I was saying before. The guy was asked, how come he needs a proofreader whom we have to be paying as opposed to Mr. Dan? He said, I can't proofread. It's not something I've ever done in my life. I've just never done it. I don't know how to do it. But he comes and sells himself as this veteran journalist and communicator and editor and so on who deserves to be in that position. But I know it's something, I'm Antiguan, you foreign, I shouldn't have any, I should have a superior position to you and this kind of thing. I looked at the guy astounded. A guy who comes and sells himself as a veteran, as a master editor and journalist and tells you about his degree in communication and so on, opens his mouth and looks you straight in the eye and tells you he don't know how to proofread. He's never done it. So I said to the station manager at the time, for a guy to be selling himself as being this great journalist and expert and so on, and to be telling you he cannot proofread, he's never done it, he doesn't know how to do it, he needs a separate proofreader. That's like somebody who tells you they're a journalist, and in the same breath, in the same sentence, telling you, I'm a vegetarian, telling you I'm a vegetarian, but I don't eat vegetables, Ain't it such a one? An editor who cannot proofread is like a vegetarian telling you, somebody who comes and tells you they're a strict vegetarian, they're vegan, I've been so all my life or for many years, and in the same breath telling you, I'm a vegetarian, but I hate vegetables. I don't eat them. I've never eaten them. I mean, this is so ridiculous. But coming back to the point, it was on a few of those long nights that I was staying at the office, my home not too far from where the newspaper and radio station is. And like I said, the newspaper that I started is called the Point Express. I think it's still in. I used to be there in the night, and so there is this drinks dispenser. What we have are the water coolers and so on. So from time to time, I go to the cooler, take a drink, come back. The bathroom is very close and so on. I like it also. There are people working round the clock on the radio almost and so on. So I'm never really alone there. People, there might be somebody in the radio or somebody else. And in any case, the villa area, for some reason, there's always this kind of people who never sleep. You get outside, there's a standpipe. At 3 a.m, there's somebody at the standpipe. There's always somebody in the street. The streets never seem to be deserted completely and so on. I got to drink some water one night in the drinks dispenser. And I'm drinking the water and I'm finding the water has a funny taste, which I've never taken before. I'm saying, but what's this? There's this kind of, like when you say you have this kind of whack taste or something, it just doesn't taste like the water. And this water in the clinic is supposed to be purified. They have the oasis, they have whatever other plants, they're bottling plants and so on. But I've never tasted it. So I spat out the water. There's another little supermarket that opens very late, practically round the clock and so on, you know. I went to it and so on, and I bought a gallon of water. And every night after that, I used to come and buy my own gallon of water and sit there through the night and be drinking. Another time I tried it, I found the water had this funny taste. So I vowed I'm never drinking water there again. I'm going to continue buying because something is wrong with the water. But when I buy the water, even if it's the same brand from that supermarket, the Cool and Smooth supermarket, and if you're listening in Antigua, you know, good afternoon to you, Mr. Jabbar Hourani. You know, this is the family that owns it and that has the Cool and Smooth enterprises and so on. And so one morning, you know, one day I'm at the station in the daytime because after that I do program, you know, on the air and so on in the day. I had a program called Starting Point. I'm coming from the back and so on where the newsroom is, and I'm coming to the front, not to go to the drinks cooler. And there I'm seeing the office janitor standing in front of that drinks cooler with a can of Lysol in her hands. And she's spraying the Lysol directly at the spout where you squeeze for the water to come out, at the water spout. Immediately I know why the water was tasting funny. Tasting I never had before. And so startled as I was, this is not the time you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to talk nice and I won't shout. I shouted and I said, so and so, what are you doing? You know, of course, yes, you're startled. Me not know how to clean it. Me have nothing for clean it. I said, what you mean? You think you water people drinking, you standing with a can of Lysol and you spraying it on it? You know? Me not know what to do. I said, well, you could have asked me. You could have asked somebody else. I would have told you, okay, we can unscrew the nib of the spout. We can pour hot water over it, or we can put it to soak in hydrogen peroxide or some kind of soap cleansing solution, and then use a tiny bottle brush or whatever it is. There are different ways to do it. If you so don't know what to do, but don't tell me anybody, I don't care about your education, that you do not know that you cannot be using disinfectant to spray, and not just anywhere, you know, directly on the water spout. Lady took offense at that, apparently, went and told some other woman who was working in the office. And this was some of the things when Dr. McDowell contacted me, I said, you know, I'll take his offer and get out of there, you know. Because that office lady who's kind of like the office manager and so on, supposed to be at the time, although I have doubts about her suitability for that. The next morning I came and I'm talking to the janitor about something and she's not answering me. So I called on the office manager and I said, look, I'm talking to this lady right here. I hope you realize she's not answering me. And the office manager's saying, oh, I don't know. I was not there. I'm told that you shouted at her. And I said, okay, so that's the most important thing, to shout at, oh, I didn't say that. I'm just saying maybe that's why she's not answering you and so on. So the most important thing in that situation is that somebody who is doing something which is poisonous, potentially, to office staff, you know, you never know the effect of those things until later, that the important thing to talk about is that I raised my voice. When I raised my voice because I was startled, you know, and then she jumped in. Why you not call a meeting? Why you know, drowning me out, you know. I raised voice, you should have called a meeting instead of shouting at me and this kind of thing. So guess what happened afterwards? Madam Office Manager must have decided, you think you're bad, you're shouting at person, I'll show you. It's me spraying Lysol now. So anytime I pass by her, she have a tin of Lysol in her hand and she starts spraying. It's like to tell me, you know, she wouldn't spray it directly at my face, but why would you be spraying Lysol? Once you see me, Lysol is not something you spray freely in the air. The directions for Lysol tell you spray it on places that people's hands have contact with, like the doorknob. You spray it and then you wipe off after a little while. You spray the tabletop. Lady spraying Lysol deliberately. You know, I supposed to tell me, well, look me now. Challenge me. Tackle me if you dare. I never told her a word because I said this kind of ignorance. For you to be spraying Lysol in order to taunt me, in order to goad me, because you believe you're affecting me, while you yourself have to be breathing it in. Take care, you're not the one who one day will die gasping for air and struggling to breathe. I don't know if it has happened. I don't really care. But I said to myself, if that is a provocation to get me to respond or to react in some way, because like somebody else who's more aggressive might have given that person a bang because this is my health thing. I never reported it. I never said anything. And it's amazing, you know. It's amazing, this very same person, when Christmas time came, the last Christmas that I spent there, and they pay everybody early, this person took my check and would tell the office attendant to tell him it's there, come and collect it. When I'm about to come, she left with it, you know, she went with it and so on. And they played that game to make sure that I don't get paid, you know, and that's another thing again. Whenever you see you have places, made me run around for my check to make sure I do not get it before Christmas. Anyway, I survived. I didn't die. When some higher up, which I told that contacted her, she said, oh, I held the check because I thought he had traveled. You thought he had traveled? You never had any conversation with me about whether I'll be traveling for Christmas or for my holidays. You never had any discussion. I never told you that. But it was just part of the trying to spite me. Somebody really low down the food chain. And then when I got, you know, this invitation from Dr. McDowell to come back, you know me already and the way that I reference my faith and so on, and I said, this must be the hand of God. That if you stay there, people who you try talking to them for their own good, about how they're using disinfectant and so on, willy-nilly in the pandemic, I used to, because of my position, be the one to handle the budget to get supplies for the office because I had a vehicle and so on, to make the order and to go and get things like Fabuloso and Lysol. And I used to wonder, how come bleach and Fabuloso and so on, they're finishing so fast? You buy a big gallon of it, in 3 days, it's done already. I never suspected anybody stealing it. It may have been. But you know, these people, they have Fabuloso, they pour in it like water in the toilet bowl. And I used to tell them, look, there are directions on the thing. The directions say that you must use so much, dilute it inside. You don't use it pure. You can't help them do that and so on. So I looked at this thing and I said, anybody who goes about using household disinfectants or industrial disinfectants as recklessly as this, maybe you shouldn't be among these people. And so I made up my mind and I said, okay, all these things are happening to tell you, because I was in a doubt to a point whether to accept Dr. McDowell's invitation. And that, I said, told me, this is the hand of the Lord. This is the work of the Lord. That this is timing itself with the time. Shelton, go. Get out of there. Get out. Nothing wrong. Nothing in terms of the actual job and so on and so on. I said, leave that alone. Once you see you have to deal with ignorant people, and that's the way they're behaving, and an opportunity comes for you to get out, the Lord sees that maybe a confrontation would come. Maybe you might slap somebody. Maybe you might shove somebody. Maybe you might do something in your irritation of the moment for a cloud of Lysol being thrown in your face. Partner, hit the signs and so on and get out of there. People, in our country, St. Lucia, when we see certain things happening and the way that people are behaving, don't let yourself get riled up and get into trouble so that you become like the troublemakers and so on. So that you become like people who are destructive. So that you become like people who don't seem to want to make or to let the country make any progress. We plead and we plead and we plead for facilities. We want those facilities. But if you had to make them work, you have to pay so much money in security and guard and have some way for people to be prosecuted and so on for malicious damage and for sabotage and for vandalism and so on, that sometimes you wonder if the cost is worth it. Who wants to have toilet facilities and you have to have police or security guarding there when people leave to check if something is broken, to know is them, and how are you going to monitor them? No law, no court will uphold you having cameras on people using toilet and so on. I don't think so. None of them. It will be a violation of their basic right to privacy and this kind of. But at the same time, you have to replace toilet and you have to replace something all the time. How do we go around this? That is why I talk about this thing so much on programs like that, hoping that at least I can reach a few people, a few parents who will impress upon their children, a few friends who will talk to others and not just laugh and applaud when they do those things. That we need to change our way, we need to change our behavior. Richard Frederick, no matter how much of a man he is who looks out for people, and I mention his name because this is a man who I find is always trying to raise the dignity of people. He's always trying to put people in a position where they don't have to live a pigsty life. They don't have to live a life where everything around them is chaotic. You know, he's a man who tries to put order, who tries to put facilities, who tries to put recreation, who tries to make the city life more bearable for the ordinary people. The ordinary people who can't retreat to Rodney Bay, to gated community, to be living in communes where they have their swimming pool and they're living around with big walls or you know. The people who move about the place, that they have proper sidewalks, that they have parks, that they have park benches, that they have toilet facilities, that they have... This is the kind of thing that I like in a representative and in a government, that it is always trying to elevate people where their dignity, where their amenities and facilities and so on, to give them a life where they don't feel like they are second class and third class, where they're looked down upon, where like they're not important, where like they don't matter. They can let them live in filth and they have nothing to say. This is why I support the St. Lucia Labour Party, among many other reasons. That they don't say the ignorance about, prison, what they're going and build prison for them for. If they want better prison, let them not go inside there. Let them not put things for them to go inside there. So the prison could be a prison built to hold, less than 100 people. It have 500 in it. People living like worse than pigs inside there, and all the kind of way about, the waste disposal and people pooping in the same place that they're sleeping and peeing, and we okay with that. I will support governments and parties that say, even if you have done something wrong, that you have to pay a price of imprisonment, that does not mean that we have to treat you like you are an animal, let you live in animal conditions. These are the kinds of thinking, these are the kinds of philosophies, these are the kinds of guiding principles that I associate and I have seen and I have witnessed as being part of the St. Lucia Labour Party, that to this day I remain this person that I am, which I can tell somebody, if being Labour is a disease, consider me an incurable case. This is a real issue, so we take a break. We'll be back shortly.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
Live streaming has become one of the best ways to connect the funeral of a loved one with friends and family, both local and international. NBC Television will live stream your funerals on television and Facebook at a reasonable rate. With our state-of-the-art equipment, you can be assured that the quality of your funeral will be to your satisfaction. Call our office now and book your obituary and streaming with us. 758-453-7458.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The CDC opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
Staying with the real issues on this Friday the 31st, the final day of the week for the real issues. We air weekdays, Monday to Friday, holidays accepted. No program on weekends from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on Real FM Radio 91.3 North, 91.5 South, simulcasting on NBC Television, Channel 120, Flow Cable TV service. We are on Facebook Live and also streaming live on YouTube. Not just our final program for the week, but for the month of May. When next we're together, it will be on Monday the 3rd of June, 2024. All that I've said so far is simply to make the point. It's not enough for us to have a good government. We need to be good people. We need to be better people. We need to be law-abiding people. We need to be people who have a sense of pride and dignity and self-respect about us. Otherwise, government can provide all the things that we say they should provide, they need to provide, and so on. And if we insist upon being bad people, if we insist upon being destructive people, if we insist upon being people who are engaged in self-sabotage, in community sabotage, in national sabotage, it's not going to help us. And one of the worst reasons why people do it is because of politics. And, you're hearing some noises now, from some people. I expected it around the time when, you begin to finish 3 years and so on. People now say we have to start doing something. Like I heard one of them. And his favorite modus operandi. And you have to learn the way they operate, You have to learn the way. He likes to, you mean to tell me, or... And don't come and tell me that you cannot find $1 million to give the farmers to buy banana boxes. Was the ability to purchase banana boxes ever a problem? Was it ever the issue? Did you hear any of the banana organizations, NFTO, of any of them complain about not having money to pay for the boxes from Winera? Wasn't it that Winera had a shortage of boxes? And the government tried to facilitate in having boxes ordered from outside of St. Lucia. I think the Dominican Republic was one of them. I'm not sure if Jamaica was also mentioned. But the supply chain bottlenecks that we've been having since the COVID pandemic, the delay in getting them in shipping, they don't come directly. They have to go to Jamaica, and from Jamaica they have to go to this place and that place and all of that. Because maybe we don't have direct links with the Dominican Republic. Perhaps because we don't have any significant Dominican Republic diaspora here. Unlike Antigua, maybe you'll get flights quicker, easier, because there's a sizable Spanish community from the Dominican Republic there. That was never the issue. Nobody ever complained. And even then, with the lateness of the boxes coming here and all the problems that Nero was having, the government immediately set up a fund to provide some compensation. I don't know if it's total compensation to farmers who lost because of not having boxes. In other words, to pay them for the losses of where their fruit had to remain in the field and it ripened and it spoiled and so on, to provide some relief for them. The government put that in place. Expect that you're going to hear more of that. Everything that is a problem here, the government should have given money to solve it. It's not a matter of dealing with the supply and the problems Nero was having, It's throwing money after it. Things that they never did themselves. They want to do it. The people who promise us that would have no problems exporting bananas. If we couldn't go to the UK, our bananas would go to France because they had some arrangement with Martinique and whatever. Did we ever see that? And we could go on and on and on, of all the things that they were going to do, which they were never able to do. But now we're hearing that the government should have put aside $1 million or found $1 million. That was never the issue. The issue was never about they don't have money to pay for boxes. The issue was always that the manufacturer of the boxes, Nero, had some problems with their supplies, with getting the raw material, whatever, and alternative efforts to get the raw materials to St. Lucia, fell into the difficulties of supply chain, getting things moving, getting them, on time and all of that. It's affecting the whole world up to this day. The COVID pandemic kicked it off. The war in Ukraine worsened it. But right now you're hearing $1 million they should have given to them. And you're going to hear more and more and more about it. Right now, the global ports. Global ports is a terrible agreement because, we're giving away our ports and we're giving it away. And the cruise passenger tax, we're only going to be getting $1 and global ports will be getting $10 or $12 or whatever US and so on and all of that. And just like with the boxes, always telling you part of the story, never telling you what the whole issue is. It's the same thing with the global ports. That this is a concessional agreement. Essentially saying that either we don't have the money or it will eat too much into our revenues, take out too significant a chunk of our GDP all at once. If we have to develop the ports, especially the port side that deals with cruise ships and tourism, SASPA can hold its own with the cargo and people paying for it. But the side that has to do with the point surfing side of things, if I can turn it so, and other cruise facilities, that Global Port Holding is prepared to come and to take over operating and managing the port, and they will spend their own money to do two things mainly. There are others, but they'll do two things mainly. A long-term loan for the port that we have not been able to make a dent in, and as we speak is probably still at 21 million US. The money for all those upgrades, building, point surfing, these are long-term loans. These are long-term loans, whether it is from Paribas or whatever we took them and so on. We have not paid it back. The deal essentially, like it is in Antigua, I was there, I was in the thick of it. Well, Global Port says, look, we will come, we will take over the loan. We will be responsible for paying the loan off. We will build your port for you so that now you cannot take the largest size of cruise ships, which I think are Oasis class. There is Oasis class, there is Voyager class, there is this class and so on. Oasis is the latest and the biggest. That if you want to keep abreast and to be competitive in the cruise industry, your berthing points and ports for cruise ships must be built in a manner that it can accommodate this size of cruise ships. It will require significant investment. We will do it. We will build it. All we are asking you is that rather than pay us for doing these development upgrades, allow us to manage and operate it. And the money from the cruise passenger head tax that comes in, let us collect either all of it, and I don't think it's ever all. In other words, if it is $12, we will take 8, we'll give you 4, we'll take 10, we'll give you 2, whatever it is. And out of that, we will pay for the cost of the upgrades and so on. And we also will pay off the 20 million. Antigua, I think, had 21 million. I think St. Lucia has 20 million US. It's about the same. Of all the money that they borrowed from the days of VC Bird and Lester Bird, whatever, which they struggled to pay, they could not pay it. Because, people want booths and they want shops. Again, the same thing, St. Lucians. We want to have a booth, we want to have a shop at La Place Carinage, but always the money that SLASPA or whoever is responsible is too much. Once it's anything to do with the state or its government, nobody pay. We don't want to pay it. The vendors, they don't want to pay for the place at the arcade, but, or some of them, that they always want upgrades and they want this and they complain the roof is leaking and so on, but the Castries City Council and so on must find the money to do it, but people don't want to pay. You look at the space that you give them and what you suppose, and you tell them pay you $50 a month for it. It's always too much. It's always, you got 3 miles away. If Global Ports come and they take over and they now have the operation and management of the ports vested in them, I'm telling you, either people going to leave or people will pay. They'll pay because it's not government they have to pay. It's not city council. They'll stop me having to make it a Richard Frederick issue and a Geraldine Lendo Gabriel issue and a this issue and a Tim Suma issue and all of that. They'll stop. Because it's always our own. It's always, if you see another company come, especially a foreign company with white people, come and take over Wasco, and they become the company that manages water, catchment and water distribution and treatment and so on. We're paying, We're paying and we're paying more and we're not complaining. But Wasco, I know mem, Janwe, Zilta George Leslie, Jim King, you can't know your buy. Nous pas même payer $5 pour 1 000 gallons rason. C'est $6.50 nous pas payer pour qui ça. No, do it. They'll pay. That's an attitude thing. I'm not saying that's why the government doing it, But I'm telling you, this is the way. And it's not only the government who have that attitude. I'll tell you who else. And so basically, Global Ports Agreement, and I would be surprised if the agreement is any different or much different with Antigua as far as I knew. Can't remember if the agreement for St. Lucia has ever been published. But basically, Global Ports Concessional Agreement, we are going to build all those facilities and the upgrades and develop the infrastructure of the cruise port and all of that and so on. All we are saying is, let us pay for what we are doing for you from the cruise passenger tax. We will take all risk. If the cruise passenger tax in 1 year go down because of hurricanes, because of terrorist strike, that's going to be our loss. No complaint. We took it on that deal. You will owe us nothing. In order to pay this so that we don't have to break your hand off, run ourselves bankrupt, give us the agreement over 30 years. Because when we look at the projections, when we take it out, we need that amount of time for us to recover with a little profit the money for all the investments that we will be putting into it in terms of money, resources, equipment, to do all the work that needs. In Antigua, there was some dredging taking place where they were dredging the St. John's Harbor. Because if you're going to bring in bigger ships, you needed it deeper and so on. Global Port Holding came and they took over the dredging. They didn't do it themselves, but in other words, the company that is doing it, that they would be responsible for paying them. They would be responsible for doing that. They would give them directions and so on. Now, here's the other thing. When you find big companies like Global Port Holdings, who are also not just in Antigua, the fellas are in the Bahamas. Do you know Global Port Holdings is in Cuba? Cuba, this communist country that is very, very, sensitive about state control of their resources, and they don't want any kind of foreign exploiters under the guise of investment and capitalists to come and control. You know what it does? Cuba has an agreement, albeit does this for 15 years. And rather than give Global Port Holdings control of the revenue from cruise passenger tax, because all the sanctions and all, it might work. I think the agreement for Cuba is Cuba paying them. Yeah, well, Cuba will take and pay them for what they're doing. You know, it's the same thing. Global Port will do the development and they're gonna, do this and that, and Cuba will pay them. Maybe Cuba believe that it's more in their advantage. If you see these sanctions relax and Cuba open, a lot of us, we're gonna struggle, The best size of Cuba, what you call economies of scale and all the historic things and all the tourist attractions and so on. We can't hold a candle to Cuba, Now all this propaganda thing that you're hearing. Cuba is a popular place. It's just the United States sanctions and blocking and so on. The day you see things are liberalized and go on, Cuba is going to become an economic and cultural powerhouse in the Caribbean more than they already are. So we better be careful and start to position ourselves and develop ourselves where our tourist ports and attractions and cruise things and so on are concerned. We have to do it now. Because they can't keep up this sanction and this isolation of Cuba forever. They have to relax. And when they come and Cuba becomes our competitors, if you see we're not ready yet with our ports and our Oasis class and all these things and the shops, the concessionaire shops and all the things in those places that we have there, Cuba might well, without even intending to blow us away. So the question is, do we have the means to say to Global Ports, develop it and we will pay you? Global Ports entered the deal and said, you don't have to pay me. I will do the development with my resources. And I will take repayment in the form of whatever the fees that you were collecting, give me a portion of it. So that I don't have to take too much all at once. Let us spread it over 30 years. This is not different from the financing that you'll get from some, major institution, that Credit Suisse or whatever that would have given you the loan. It's no worse. It's no more oppressive. After all, look at the loans that we already had, both here and in Antigua and Bahamas and wherever else that Global Ports came to take over. Those loans were already on our books for 30 years or whatever. We couldn't pay it. They were in arrears. The interest was climbing up. Global Ports agreed to take it, pay off the loans, do the upgrades, do the infrastructure development that is required, and get paid back from whatever little trickles were coming. And the thing is, why they have the confidence is because they have what you call the weight to go and do it. Global Port going to negotiate with banks will have a lot more clout than we as Little St. Lucia have. They are originally from Turkey, but my friend, their business operations are headquartered in England, So they are subject to all, what we might consider the rules of best practice and so on in financing, in banking, and the oversight that they have is not of some obscure thing that is, outside of what we consider the Western mainstream. They're headquartered in the UK. Global Port has similar deals going on in the Bahamas. And last week somebody called me and said Global Ports is in Puerto Rico. They signed some deal with Puerto Rico. What is Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico is part of the United States, If the mighty America or whatever, even though there is limited self-government for Puerto Rico, but an American territory has them, we're making it sound like it's so terrible and that we have given away the ports. Like V.C. Bird used to say, when investors come and they invest in things like hotels and so on, and they decide they want to pull out, let them pull out. They can't pick up the port and go with it. They can't pick up the hotel and go with it. They can't do any of those things and go with it. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a proper agreement that Global Ports can handle what it would be too much for us to handle. And Global Ports has also agreed that based upon this agreement you give, where you vest in me, the management and the operation of the ports, I will be responsible for negotiating on your behalf with those cruise lines. And a lot of the opposition to Global Ports is not domestic opposition, even though opposition parties like to pick up on anything that they believe gives them some kind of anti-government momentum. It happened in Antigua. I saw them marching against the ports being leased to Global Port. Nobody giving away. This is a lease arrangement. And Antigua actually turned it into a law, into an act. Let me see if I can get it and I'll tell you. Maybe if I have time, I'll tell you what it is, although we're due for a commercial break. The name of the legislation that they passed to give legal effect and standing to the deal with Global Ports is actually called, wait for it, it's an act of parliament. And it is called Cruise Port Finance Development and Management Act 2019. Listen to it. It's called the Cruise Port Finance Development and Management Act. The very name of the legislation tells you that it is a deal they made for Global Port to finance, to develop, and manage the cruise port. That's the name of it, and it is a few pages, and maybe I can read out of it for you of what is in it. Nothing terrible, whatever. It is a deal. The port belongs to Antigua and Barbuda, as the ones here will belong to St. Lucia. And so remember when the territories of St. Lucia and the others were telling those cruise lines, the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, that look, we build Point Seraphin, we spend so much money to accommodate you, come, you birth there, whatever. Pay us some money for using the facilities. Other than they didn't want to pay anything. They didn't want to pay anything as far as they're concerned. They bring in business to us. So why do we want them to pay, a fee? They said, let us rate the fee according to each passenger you have and pay a cruise passenger head tax. Per person, you pay us. I think they started by asking them for $2 per passenger. They didn't want to pay it. And at one time, more than once, they threatened to pull out. And then an association of the cruise lines, they gang together and they say, if you try to force us, we're just not coming. And you'll lose more. Is now you'll not be able to pay your loan for Point Seraphin and for whatever. It is with great difficulty over the years that you are able to get a cruise passenger tax of any reason. And even now they don't want to budge because they have the weight, they have the clout. They know that if Global Ports takes over, not just in St. Lucia, but in the other islands, as many as possible, what they will do is that they will have a huge corporate, conglomerate entity that will be dealing with them with a lot of weight on behalf of all those islands, managing their ports and so on. And they know the way they can blue and mama guy and browbeat and blackmail and do us as individuals the divide and rule, they will not be able to do it with Global Port. Because Global Port will carry some clout, will carry some muscle, will carry some weight. Let me tell you this, friend, and you know Alan Chasney, he likes to talk a lot about the Florida Caribbean cruise and his friendship with Michelle Page, and he invited her down to his swearing in that he had in Vieux-Fort. And I saw him on Twitter, X now, saying about how good it is always to catch up with the CEO of the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association. A lot of this opposition to Global Port doesn't arise or originate with Alan Chasney and those opposition parties. It's Florida Caribbean Cruise Association that's behind it. They do not want Global Port to take over the management and the operation and the development of this port, because when come time to negotiate for what is a fair cruise passenger head tax, they know that the weight and the clout of a big international conglomerate like Global Port, they will not be able to blackmail and bully and say we're not coming. They can't do it. Global Port has weight and will say, look, this is the reality. You are benefiting so much. It's of such value to you that you have those ports. So they're trying to come and to do all kinds of things as they tried in Antigua and elsewhere to sabotage these deals with Global Port so that they can continue to just take off their shirt and scare the living daylights in divide and rule against the small territories like St. Lucia, and they will continue to have their way. We're spending enough for money to develop ports, and they don't want to pay, what is considered a reasonable cruise passenger head tax. That's what's going on there. And no terror of the government giving away and selling out to Global Port. If Alan Chasney were in power, he'd doing the same darn thing. But he don't want this government to make any kind of strides that he believes its good performance will doom him to never be able to get back into government. That's what it's about. It's the same way with all this thing about the CIP and this and that. Alan Chasney now will come and try to diss Timothy Harris, who was his buddy, who was his friend, the former prime minister and all that. This whole thing with Galaxy and all of that which you brought in and that's if all this thing about the discounting of the passport sales, if it did not begin with him. As if all this discounting that this Martinez guy is suing St. Lucia. I don't know how you can dictate a government's pricing policy, for its citizenship by investment program, and if the government is acting in a manner that is not. I saw so much in the indictment about the government is doing things that not for the benefit of St. Lucian. That's your business, Martinez. I know who behind it, you know. We all know who behind it. That's if it's not he who funding that lawsuit. That's if Martinez who taking St. Lucia and Hilaire and McLeod Emmanuel and whatever to court. That's if he get his check to pay for his lawyers in the millions of dollars from we know who. Because, you know, he has this history of just throwing money. Money is never too much to throw after white people, after friends, after foreigners, you know. Family. It's never too much to throw after them. Even if it's throwing good money after bad, it's worth it. Because it's white people like me. It's always St. Lucia, the marketing board and the fisheries complex and Radio St. Lucia. Shut them down, you know, we have to pay, a loan of 200,000 for them. That's not worth it. Shut them down. But you throw in money left, right, and center, willy-nilly, anywhere. We never know. We never know who might be funding Martinez, even if it means going after what was supposed to be his buddy, Timothy Harris, and all of that. Because Harris no longer prime minister. He's probably not of great use to him. We never know who's behind it all. But all this thing about the CIP and so on, don't worry, we'll hear the full story about it. This is the real issues. Don't go away. When we come back, your calls and messages.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
Live streaming has become one of the best ways to connect the funeral of a loved one with friends and family, both local and international. NBC Television will live stream your funerals on television and Facebook at a reasonable rate. With our state-of-the-art equipment, you can be assured that the quality of your funeral will be to your satisfaction. Call our office now and book your obituary and stream with us. 758-453-7458.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The CDC opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22 next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man, the voice.
With the real issues. The telephone lines are working, so Jaquan tells me. But before we get to them, you know, you heard me talking to Wasco, and I think you know if I'm putting fire on Wasco, it's friendly fire. Because I happen to see, you know, across my, you know, status, updates and timeline, whatever, a post that Janika Simon shared, which was really one from Raisha Joseph. I think she's the executive director of the Folk Research Center, but demonstrating another situation of what appears to be wastage of potable water, of treated water, of pipe-borne water. This time in Vieux-Fort, somewhere near, I think she terms it in front of the brewery, of water leaking or overflowing or whatever. If that is the case, I will again, and we're going to show the video or videos that Raisha posted on Facebook, and which Johnny shared. I'm going to appeal to Wasco again. Please, please, please do something about that. Do a tour de force. Put out your people, your technicians, your whatever to examine your storage facilities and your tanks, whatever. What is it that needs to be tweaked and adjusted and fixed? It can't be something all that difficult. It can't be that the water infrastructure, especially when it comes to storage tanks or whatever, has deteriorated so badly that maybe at nights or times when the pressure picks up and so on, that water overflows and so much. It can't be we're in a water emergency and people are being warned about not wasting water and conserving water and all of that, and for water to be wasting like that. When people see those things, they struggle to take seriously the warnings and the admonitions and the legal, you know, stipulations that they find themselves under in terms of using water and not wasting water. Jaquan, let's play the videos that we have. If it's only one or more, I see a couple of pictures. So please go ahead with it.
Today is day 3 of the river that continues to flow from a damaged pipe at the top of the road, the Larishes Road, heading down. And I want people to be able to see the amount of water that has been wasting for days. And we have yet to get any update as to why or what will actually happen. I don't think anger is a sufficient emotion or even disappointment for what is happening, especially given our current water-related crisis and the fact that so many people don't have water at their homes. So the water covering the road is actually from the damaged pipe, and we're walking to the very top. When I get to the top, I'll show you the source. So we're heading to the source still, and it's flowing. So today is day 3. And the river continues to flow. Today is day 3.
Well, folks, we heard that 3 days at the time this video was done, a couple of days ago. It's not something today. You know, certainly it was, I think, before the Corpus Christi holiday, maybe Wednesday, that I first saw or learned from that. I could be wrong. It's neither here nor there. But this kind of thing cannot be happening. Water cannot be flowing like that from a busted pipe for 3 days. We have a Wasco office. We have, I think, new Wasco premises and offices, whatever, in Viewfort and so on. Wasco is supposed to have island-wide, you know, reach and activity and monitoring and so on. We can't have this kind of thing happening. And that doesn't mean if it was hidden it would be bad, you know. But when it is there in an open, in a populated area, in a place where people, you know, can see it happening, and sometimes they don't have water in their house, this thing is going to cause a degree of public anger. It will consider that, you know, this whole water restriction and all this kind of thing, that it is discriminatory, that it is hypocritical. You know, that it is something that's cynical towards the people and so on. I know you don't mean it that way, but Wasco, you got to do something. And you got to do something fast. And you got to give it priority, and you have to do it right. You have to do it right, and it has to be effective. It has to be quick. Wasco, it has to stop. Too much of it is happening. How can we be in this, you know, water crisis, water emergency, whatever we call it and so on, people, and for that kind of thing to be going on? If it's not up the Mon by Alpha Louis Community College, it's at Paybush, Babuno, or Lacqua, Babuno, and so on. Now we're hearing in Viewfort, you know, I mean, come on, people. And that's not far from the brewery, which is definitely going to be a place of high water consumption because they are a beverage producing place and so on. What is happening? Perhaps you never know. The brewery itself has to be operating on the tight, restricted, you know, thing. It has to make every drop count and so on because of water shortage. And then the people at the brewery and other places will look and will see water running like that. What will be going on in their mind? What will be going on in their mind? We have to do something about that. This thing cannot continue. It absolutely should not continue, Wasco. And this is not anything to attack anybody or put anybody, but this is about us. This is about our life. We keep saying water is life. Well, if water is life, then, you know, you're letting us bleed. We're bleeding out. Telephone lines open for your calls. 724-7325. That's our mobile number that you can use to WhatsApp call us, and 4533-911. Do we have a call on the line? Hi, good afternoon. Real Issues.
Good afternoon, Sheldon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm hearing you very faintly, so just stay put. Let Jekwan do if we need any adjustment to the volume or level. All right. Do you think the speaker volume is... Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, you know, but very faintly. Just hold on a bit.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Let's see.
Yeah, Shelton. Front. Shelton, the problem that we have in St. Lucia is that we need more DJs like yourself to educate, because the facts are never explained very clearly to the St. Lucians. Now, what you missed out is that St. Lucians must understand we love our country. We want to see our country develop, especially myself, because when your country develops, you develop alongside with it. Is that we must take reality, because we have sun, sea, water, people. Most of the countries, even the Caribbean countries around us, have the same thing. And when you develop it, you cannot win every angle. You must give something to encourage that investor to come in at a minimum. Now, investors come in to make a profit. That port development is fantastic in terms of what this government has done to get it in here. I was in government. I sat down in Soufrière at the steel with the owners of a number of the cruise ships that we see coming to these ports. And they promised, and that is almost 14 years ago, they promised to put a port in Soufrière, fix up the port in Castries. Alan Chasney was there as Minister of Tourism at that time. Up to now, nothing has happened. So when we get serious people that put their money by their mouth, we as the developing nation cannot win all angles. We will never see it because we have a lot of competition with a lot of countries overseas that want the same development. So I am saying that you should continue educating and explaining to these people. And the way it happens, and that we have to tell St. Lucians that there is a cost for development. And if you are not prepared to pay that cost, you will not be in the line for development. I remember when I was in Canada, Pierre Elliott Trudeau told the Canadian people at that time, and that's a lot of years ago, we have to give up something for us to get the Americans to come in and invest. But the only thing we should hold on to was the oil in Canada, and he put up a company called Petro-Canada. So we must tell our people, don't expect to be winning all the time, because what you have, a lot of people have it. And when this government, in my opinion, I've been back here over 22 years, and I've been through government, I was part of government, and I can tell you honestly that this government is the most progressive and thought thinking of the poor people in St. Lucia. I sat in government. I know what went on. And this government now, why I'm pleased with them, is that they're taking care of a lot of the small things to the poor people of St. Lucia that most of the different governments that pass through never paid attention to. And I said to the people of St. Lucia, I love it just like you. You don't plant and see flowers the next morning. You have to prepare the soil. And then that plant in there will bear flowers if you prepare the soil right. So they have to be patient, and I can tell them, look at everything. I told Alan Chasney and them, I was part of that government. I told them, tell me what you could do better or different. Get on the platforms. Get out to the radio stations and tell us what you can do, because everybody can criticize. That's the easiest thing to criticize. The other point I want to get to is on Wasco. Okay? Wasco is not the management, and it's not the people there. It is the workers. Where are the workers that are supposed to run the lines and see the lines going and dream? I live between the two dams that provide all the water from cul-de-sac to Cap Estate. And you should see the workers. They're lazy, they don't go out, they're not looking and do what they have to do. But the other issue with Wasco is that the board has to start thinking differently now. We will have that water shortage all the time. It's like ancillary or canneries that's under sea level. They will never come above sea level. You have to start doing things that take that into account. And my opinion, I've said to them, is that 60% of the water coming off this island of St. Lucia on a yearly basis goes to the ocean. So instead of waiting to build dams, which is very costly, let us start putting tanks to hold water when we have a lot of water. And then when the water is short, we have these tanks as reservoirs. I don't know how they're not thinking of that. Another thing I'm thinking about, the north is developing rapidly. The population, 60% of the population of St. Lucia is between cul-de-sac and Cap Estate. And we have to start thinking, because of tourism, that we are saying that tourism. It is an embarrassing thing when a tourist comes and there's no water to flush the toilet. So we should start thinking of whether it is feasible to put a desalination plant in the north of the island where all these hotels are as a backup. And we have to start thinking in that direction. Desalinated water is drunk in Antigua, as you know, in Barbados, in Aruba. That's all they have. So it's not that bad. But we can now do two things. And I would like that board. If that board cannot think, they have to start changing the board, because the people on that board are not thinking, in my opinion. They're just not thinking, because it will never change. Sunshine will be in St. Lucia, and you cannot predict how long the sun shines. So you have to prepare in advance storage. And I can show them an example of what I did in Baden, Moncizo, that I put a big tank up there when these people had no water for years. Hold the water there, they're never short of water. So in as much, and I want to know from them, the aqueduct that was found in Miku, where they were building this hotel, what has become of the aqueduct? Because they were saying that when I was there, they were saying that that aqueduct can supply water for years to the entire island. So I don't know what has happened and if they can explore that, because that water shortage and the change in climate, they cannot predict, will always be there. So we have to be prepared. And I say I pity them because it is an essential of life. You cannot miss water for 2 days, you're out like a fish out of water. So it's an important thing, and I'm saying to them to get their workers to do their job. Get their workers to be watching the lines. Get their workers to start producing. It's their workers, not the management is part, but the management is not to be blamed totally. And if you put proper engineers, proper thinking people that have vision in these ministries, you will find we cannot solve all problems, but we will solve that water problem to a large extent, because there is an example for them from the Moncizo, Waden area. I put a tank there. I made the government buy a little piece of land to put the tank, and they have been never short of water. Thank you very much.
Welcome. 724-7325 and 4533911, the numbers to dial. You can call us. I have a nice message which says something pertaining to the $1 million that Mr. Guy Joseph is suggesting that the government should have found to give to the banana farmers to order banana boxes. And let me read this message for you and what it says. The person is an agriculturist who sent the message. He said, please be informed that the banana farmers will receive the $1 million at a ceremony at Lakai at 2 p.m. You know, that's almost the time already. Another babuchet for the flabos. All right, once again, he said, please be informed that the banana farmers will receive the $1 million at a ceremony at Lakai at 2 p.m. Today. Another babuchet for the flabos. Did Mr. Guy Joseph know that? Was he just trying to rush ahead and pretend like, you know, this is his original idea that the government give $1 million, but maybe he knew the government was already going to give the $1 million? Mr. Elias Amasing, why don't you give me a call to tell me? I suspect you're a man, you know a lot more things, you know, than, you know, maybe people believe. You know, Mr. Amasing, Mr. Ajek, you have to call me and, you know, give me a heads up on those things, because this agriculturist, and I know you're a farmer, you're a man who keeps abreast of developments. We have another caller on the line. Hello? Hi,
yes, good afternoon. How do you do, sir?
Do you have that one? I'm not hearing it in the...
Yes, Mr. Sheldon, how do you do?
Okay, hi. Okay, I'm hearing you now. I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm good. I agree with the previous caller 200%.
Okay.
One thing I don't agree with, we need to have these people managing Wasco back up. Send them to work somewhere else. They are not doing a good job. They've been at that place for too long doing nothing. What are they reshuffling? If you ask me, 70% of Wasco's water has been wasted. Why tell me, when they don't they have people that are responsible for receiving calls when there is a damaged pipe somewhere that they let the crew know? Hello?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Why is water being wasted everywhere?
Yeah, it seems it's a problem, and it's not looking good at all.
Oh, and you know what happened? If I was in St. Lucia, or if I get down to St. Lucia, everything will be changed because I will be the worst outlaw. If you tell me don't wash my car, don't wash my bus, don't wash my bicycle, and you wasting water, oh boy, all pipes have to burst some to get water for free, some to wash my vehicle or wash my barrel.
Yeah, you know.
We have, Wasco has been taking that joke too far, too long. This is either we change the entire management of Wasco or let somebody else take over.
Yeah.
Avec power guy, nous pas study power guy. Guy say just not sour grape. You know what happened? I myself don't support global pocket. You know why?
Tell me.
Because one guy is having all these lions, these lion numbers, these lions, c'est 1000, lion, toutes ces lions sont là qui ka compter. And these checks are not going to Fresh Start. Come on. You all are just not being you all are heartless people in St. Lucia. Man, Eastern guy had his figures and that's not going to his account. It's just not right. Trust me, if UWP was in power, Alan would have told Fresh Start to take on the job.
Okay.
And bring somebody else to help. But the money ain't going nowhere. So all Philip JP has to do, Alan has put enough of spokes in people's wheels that has everybody's pocket leaking. Whosoever can come and take on this and take on that, and government gets a share out of it, and at a certain period, it belongs to the government of St. Lucia, go for it. Don't go and burden the country with more debts. Go and get people managing it. Fresh Start come and take it. Fresh Start put his feet and his toes in it. Get somebody else to manage it. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. I'm Shelton.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Jaquan, it looks like the time is upon us already. Came rather quickly today, so I don't want to have to make this abrupt. Skedaddle out of here because of the lottery and so on. So I think I want to end it in a more orderly manner for the week and for the month. Thank you so very much, everyone, for having kept us company. Would have liked to go on, but I recognize that there are probably other things happening. So on behalf of Jaquan and the rest of us here, I want to bid you a very good weekend. And God willing, all things equal, we'll start this again from Monday, the 3rd of June. Remember, today is the last day before the hurricane season begins, so your preparations, try to make sure that they begin to take hold and take form. We never know when something can be announced, and there won't be all that time to react and to brace ourselves. Shelton Daniel signing out.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.